Hey guys, what's going on? This is going to be Cut the Nets, episode 4. I'm your host, Jeremy Gretzer, along with Brian Ramos. Welcome, guys. Thank you guys for joining the podcast. We're going to talk about a number of things, mostly about recent news, something with KD out with an MCL sprain, Suns below 500, LeBron trade rumors because he wants to play with his son Bronny James when Bronny enters the draft, but will he be on the Lakers? Lakers are the 13th seed right now. So it's kind of because LeBron wants to win championships still. He's still capable of doing that. We also want to talk about the Knicks, Brian Ramos' Knicks, my Rockets. And a new segment we're going to introduce is untapped player potential later on. But without further ado, let's begin. Brian, how we doing?
I'm doing good, Jeremy. How are you?
Can't complain. Pretty good. Pretty good. And the train made an appearance too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about KD out with an MCL sprain. What are your thoughts on that? With KD being out for yet another year on the injured list with an MCL sprain.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that play with Butler. Butler landed on Durant's ankle. Not a good look. Hope he gets better, but they said he's expected for out 4 to 6 weeks. And I think the biggest question that lies here with the Nets is who's going to step up. Is it just going to be one player? Is it going to be a multitude of players? With this Brooklyn Nets team, we've seen Kevin Durant be the anchor, the superhero of the team, with Kyrie as a sidekick. Now we're going to have to see Kyrie Irving step up, be the superhero. Biggest question is who's going to help him? Is it going to be someone like Seth Curry? Is it going to be someone like Royce O'Neal? Is it going to be someone like TJ Warren, Edmund Summer? They have a deep bench, but they don't necessarily have, or like Ben Simmons, but they don't necessarily have another superstar caliber player that can make up the load. I mean, just looking at this roster, TJ Warren's my bet to be their new second best player in terms of scoring, but I do see a few losses down the stretch for them.
Yeah, I do too. I think KD is kind of equivalent to two really good scorers, but aren't all-star caliber players. So I would say that the best option is probably to insert Seth Curry and or TJ Warren into the mix along with KD to replace his offensive load. And of course, Kyrie's Kyrie. He's going to score. He's going to score as much as he can. Ben Simmons, I mean, he might need to. I know they put him at power forward. They didn't put him at point forward. He had the 4 position, I believe, and he's been doing all right for that position so far. But it's going to be pretty interesting to see where the Brooklyn Nets end up after KD gets back. I mean, they had this 12-game winning streak that was snapped earlier ago against the Bulls, and then the Heat they won against them after the KD injury. So we'll see what happens. I mean, they climbed all the way from the 10th seed to the number 2 seed, and that's kind of it's great for them to do that. But again, with KD out with an MCL sprain, it also is sort of like a tale of two halves right there for you.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely. You think that the Brooklyn Nets might go 500 or maybe a negative record over the next month?
I don't know what their schedule looks like, so it's just kind of hard to base off of. But nothing with the Nets surprises me after seeing that they beat the Pacers with their top 8 players out. I get it, the Pacers aren't the best team, but they're still an NBA caliber team with great guys like Halliburton and Miles Turner. So if they could win a game with their top 8 out, I expect them to get a few wins without Kevin Durant, but still led by Kyrie. I expect them to be if I had to take a guess without knowing their schedule, probably 2 or 3 games over 500.
Yeah, I think probably they're going to drop a couple seeds, maybe be the 4th or 5th seed in my book. The next game they play is on Thursday. They get a 4-day break. They play the Nets on Thursday. They play the Thunder on Sunday, which is probably going to be either a win or a close win because the Thunder have been pretty good this season, as far as I'm concerned, with Shea just kind of leading the way and a first-year coach who's doing a lot better than most rebuilding coaches. And we also got The Nets playing the Spurs, the Suns. The Spurs are pretty much a no-brainer. They could either be really good or really, really bad. The Suns have been struggling. They don't have Booker on the team anymore because he's injured as well. Chris Paul is 30, 37 years old. So, without Booker or Paul, like 100%, the Suns are pretty much dead in the water. The Nets play the Jazz, which they've been regressing after their strong surge this season early on. And then they play the Warriors. So they've got a pretty much a mixed bag of either really good teams, mediocre teams, or rebuilding teams. And probably until KD gets back for the next month or so. They're not really playing any huge teams, rather, after they play the Warriors, so besides the Celtics. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Do you think KD will be in the All-Star game? Because he's like the number one player right now on the All-Star voting for the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Brooklyn's gonna let him play just because that 4 to 6 week timetable takes them right to the All-Star break, and in such a meaningless game, Brooklyn would rather him focus on his long-term health and just get back the right way, especially because he has had troubles with that knee before in years prior. So his health is number one important for the Brooklyn Nets if they want to get over the hump and win a championship.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a good idea to try to not use your players that do get injured, especially when they're getting like the All-Star nod or like the All-Star starter or reserve, and it's best to kind of sit them out. All-Star games lately for like all pro sports, MLB, NBA have been kind of just a game for show. It's not really any sort of important significant game for any sort of team in that regard. So yeah, it's best to probably sit him out during the All-Star break, give him more time to heal that MCL injury. Speaking of the Suns, I think we mentioned that earlier. The Suns are really bad right now. The Suns are pretty terrible. They've also become like like one of the most hated teams in the NBA. I don't know if you know this video, but do you watch like Nonstop Sports?
Not really, no.
Nonstop Sports is essentially like another sort of like secret base YouTube channel where they talk about strictly basketball, and they like to talk about teams that are mostly like the most hated. They'd like to talk about like was a certain player actually really good during their career. And I saw a video about a couple of days ago about them saying the Suns are the most hated team in basketball right now. And they basically went through a timeline of how they got from like, the 8-game winning streak in the bubble back in 2020, where they were like this young up and coming team with Booker leading the way finally after Booker spent like 6 to 7 years of just being on a bad team. And then they got Chris Paul, and then they got the number one seed in the 2021 season into the playoffs. They all went all the way to the finals. They could have won an NBA Finals ring, but Giannis came storming back and won 4 straight games after being down 2-0. And then the Suns got the first seed in the next season again, winning like 64 games, a franchise record. But then, of course, as we all know, they got an embarrassing loss from the Dallas Mavericks in Game 7 and lost completely on their home court. And that there is history right there. That the rest is history. So, and then the Suns had like a offseason issue with DeAndre Ayton, where like he had contract issues. They also have a basketball owner that was like that was fired for off the court issues with political or sort of just things we won't really go into. And then it was bought by 2 other people actually from a mortgage lending company, and then of course have you seen like the Suns whenever they're like really beating on a team, they sort of trash talk? Have you seen that a lot? Yeah.
Yeah, it's been going on with the Pelicans like more recently.
Yeah, it has definitely. But the thing is, they only trash talk when they're up. They don't really trash talk when they're down or when the game's close.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's kind of what, like, not that I'm like condoning trash talk or whatever, but I feel like
I
when
love
you're
it.
up big, it's good to see. But I feel like when you're up big, that's the only time you should, because like if you're losing, obviously like you don't have the right to, and then because like they could easily just point at the scoreboard and like that's like the talking and disrespect right there. And if it's a close game, you can't really focus on the trash talks, and it could lead to a technical foul. It can lead to a fight, getting disqualified. It's like you just got to lock in. So like it may sound hypocritical, but being up big is probably the best and only time you should really trash talk.
I agree with that, but like whenever you trash talk, especially when you're up big, you got to hold that. You got to hold that statement. You know, when the Suns trash talk a team and then when they're up big and then they squander the lead because they're completely, high and mighty and sort of, boastful about, them leading in the early going during a game, and then they sort of blow the lead because they're not really watching their defense. Maybe they're making bad shots because they're thinking, oh, we're up, we'll win the game. Like we're just kind of just like lackadaisically playing right now since we're up by 25 or whatever. But they've actually lost a lot of games that they've won that they were supposed to win because of them trash talking and them being just completely arrogant about how their team works. So yeah, and then of course the Suns are kind of like showing that, and then they're now below 500 team, and it's not because of them trash talking. That's not the only factor. It's because of the fact that Booker's been out for a little while now. Booker uh, is currently injured, and Chris Paul is pretty much in his twilight years. He can't really lead the team like he used to.
Yeah, in the last 4 games, the Suns haven't scored 100 points or more. They scored 83 in a loss against the Knicks, 88 in a loss against the Cavaliers, 96 in a loss against the Heat, and then 98 in the loss against the Cavaliers. So, in a much more offensive driven league, and you can't put up 100 plus, it's not going to be well for you. I mean, they're playing the Warriors tonight at Golden State. Steph Curry's back, so I don't expect that game to be necessarily close either.
Yeah, if Steph Curry is returning, then it's for sure going to be Steph Curry, Clay, Draymond, and of course you got Kevon Looney and is Andrew Wiggins still back? Is he back on the team? I'm not really sure. Is he Wiggins?
I think he's still out, but I'm
He's still
not.
out. Yeah, I think he's. Yeah, actually, no, he's not. He's playing. He got.
Oh yeah, he came back
He
into
played
the
again.
Magic.
Yeah, he got 19 minutes against the Magic. Had an okay game, but maybe he was on a minutes restriction
Probably.
due to his injury. But he'll probably get more minutes this next game. And again, I mean, you might say, okay, Steph Curry's back. The Warriors are on the floor with the Suns because the Suns don't really have any sort of star power right now besides maybe DeAndre Ayton. But Ayton really can't carry a team. But I mean, they virtually have the same record. The Warriors are just 500 with a 20-20 record, and the Suns are a game back with that. So, it's going to be. I would say probably the Warriors will have the edge for sure, but you never know. Maybe Chris Paul goes back to the fountain of youth and scores 14 straight.
Yeah, I mean, did you see
like
what Stephen A. Smith said about the Warriors today?
What do you say?
He said a healthy Steph Curry and healthy Klay Thompson will pretty much change the whole landscape of the playoffs and like wreak havoc in the Western Conference.
Yeah, he needs to really just come back to reality, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I just
He needs
think
to come
like
back to reality.
I just think like that they're a great team, but I still just think like that back to what we talked about last episode with how much depth they lost. Like I
Yeah.
don't know really where they can cause havoc because right now they're a 6 seed, and like if that were made, I don't know if they could beat New Orleans.
They had a 53-29 record last season and was a third seed. So they've already lost 20 games this season. But I mean, regardless, this season's very close with all these teams. Like, I mean, no team has 30 wins yet. Every team has under 30 wins still. And it's like the 42nd game of the season. We're pretty much at the halfway point. So, I mean, yeah, I would say maybe 3 years ago during like the KD and the 2015, 2016 Warriors era, I would definitely believe Stephen A. Smith. But Klay Thompson, I mean, he had an Achilles tear and ACL tear. Like, he's not the same player as he once was. It's not just him scoring shots off of screens. There's his defense too. He had great on-ball defense. He was one of the more consistent defensive players in the league during his prime. And his legs aren't like that anymore. His legs aren't as strong as they used to be. So I think that the Warriors really need some more help from their bench and the young guys that have more athleticism and energy. And of course, they need more experience in order to get to the to where the core four plays like. But yeah, I think Stephen A. Smith is trying to just he's trying to say one of his 2016 lines. He's trying to just take it from the 2016 timeline and restate what he said 6 years ago or something like that. So, but I mean, who listens to Stephen A. Smith anymore, really?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I've watched First Take since 2017.
I watch it every now and again. I'm definitely watching it more now, being home from winter break instead of when I'm at school. But I mainly watch like the football First Take, but every now and again I'll see on Twitter what happened. Like I didn't see him say it on First Take Live. I saw a Twitter notification about it.
I think they're more accurate about football takes right now compared to basketball, because all they talk about is LeBron or KD or Kyrie or Steph. Like, they're in different spots in the NBA this year. They're not in the same team. They're completely in different careers right now. They're in their 30s. LeBron's 38 years old right now. He just turned 38 last week. So he's on a really putrid Lakers team who can't have Anthony Davis on the court regularly. So, and LeBron, his defense isn't as good as it used to. He's 38 years old. Like, all he can do is pretty much, drive to the basket and do N1s. He can dunk, he can shoot for sure, but he'll need the next day off because of his ankle soreness.
Yeah.
So it's time to talk about new players and new teams that are up and coming, like the Pelicans or the Grizzlies, or I mean, the Thunder's aren't doing half bad right now this season. I mean, I think of course, they're not really a playoff team, obviously, but like you should probably give some more recognition to them because Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is going off completely.
Yeah,
off
even Cleveland. Cleveland deserves to get some respect.
Yeah, Cleveland's getting zero respect. But if LeBron was on that team, Cleveland would get like all the respect. They would be talking about LeBron every single day, like they do, this season. But they do it because it's LeBron. It's not because he's on the Lakers.
And I feel like because Cleveland's a small market too, I feel like that also gets put into play.
Yeah, I agree with that. Speaking of LeBron, I guess we could talk about his trade rumors. There was a lot of talk last week. I don't know if you watched like clips on Twitter, but a lot of talk last week about reporters asking him, where he'd like to spend his days, his last remaining years as an NBA player, and he didn't really specify where, but he wants to play with his son.
Yeah, I remember seeing that in the off season. Like before the season started, he really wants to play with his son. Could like choose based on where his son gets drafted, but
yeah,
as far as this season, I haven't heard about like LeBron's necessarily trade rumors, but I've heard about the Lakers, what they've been wanting to do. I saw there are two guys they've been pushing for right now are Miles Turner and Cam Reddish. And
I mean, the Knicks are willing to give up Cam Reddish too, right?
Yeah, they are. We'll get into Cam Reddish later about why I wish he played yesterday. But as far as the actual trade rumors goes with him, there's just a report that came out today that it's pretty much down between the Lakers and the Bucks for Cam Reddish, and the asking price is 2 second-round picks.
Yeah, I did see that. I saw that tweet about the Knicks asking for 2 second-round picks as well. Miles Turner would be a great fit on the Lakers. He'd be an amazing fit. I feel like that would be, a nice turnaround for the team, especially with hardly any rim protectors besides maybe Thomas Bryant. Or like
Thomas Bryant's been playing well lately, though.
He definitely has, but like it's not just he can't just be there. He has to.
Oh yeah, it's not a long term.
Also, he's young too. Miles Turner's he's a veteran now,
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy to think that Miles Turner's a veteran. He's been around for years now. And also Buddy Hield. Like, I don't know why the Lakers haven't gotten Buddy Hield. I mean, they had a chance to get him before they got Westbrook, but they just need shooters. They need shooters.
Mm-hmm.
They need rim protectors. They don't. It's not just LeBron and company. It can't be like LeBron cannot be 2018 LeBron anymore. He's too old for that. Like, that was his peak as a player when he was playing with like 20 different players that season on the Cavs and like carried them to the NBA Finals. So
yeah, I agree.
Yeah. How are your Knicks? How are they doing?
Besides last night, pretty good. Unfortunately, I don't know if you saw the game. Unless you were watching the national championship, but they beat the Spurs by 3 on last Wednesday. In a close game, beat the Raptors on Friday. Then they had the Bucks game. It was a typical Knicks game, up by 14. Then they, as usual, kind of collapsed in the third quarter defensively. Bucks started to hit their shots, and then pretty much started trading buckets, and Knicks lost by 4, 111-107. Despite a career high from Jalen Brunson once again. He dropped 44 points.
Brunson is crazy good.
Yeah. The thing is, too, is like not to like blame excuses, but I didn't watch the games. I was watching the national championship, or I didn't watch the first quarter, but apparently Randall had he finished the game with 25 points or something, but he had a brutal first quarter. He apparently missed 12 to 14 shots or something. And the Knicks still had the lead at that point.
Yeah, Randall, dude, he went 9 for 29.
Yeah,
he went
awful.
1 for 12 from 3. Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean,
if you're man.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, go ahead.
If you're shooting if you're making one shot after 9 attempts from 3, stop.
Yeah. Or unless you're like J.R. Smith, where you say the only way to get out of the funk is just keep shooting.
And some weed.
Randall did that, but yeah.
Or Henny. But
yeah. But where I really think the Knicks lost was in the second half when Evan Fournier was playing a lot. And he was just a complete non-factor. He made one nice 3 in the end, but only had 3 points, played 15 minutes, and he was just getting picked apart defensively. And I don't know if you saw this one highlight, because it was getting big on Twitter. I think it was Randall guarding Giannis or something, and then Grimes kind of came in not Grimes. Fournier kind of came in for the double team weirdly and just left Joe Ingles wide open for a 3.
Yeah,
and
don't do
that happened that literally happened 3 times. I'm convinced. I know Fournier is awful defensively. I'm convinced he might be the worst defensive player in the league. And the Knicks are just getting picked apart on it. Grayson Allen, who started that game, had 11 points. Joe Ingles had 17 points off the bench, and the Knicks just Brook Lopez is a good player, decent player. I don't know if you know, he's still the Brooklyn Nets all-time leading scorer.
Well, I know he's been there for a while. The Brooklyn Nets have only been around since 2010, or 2011.
Well, even New Jersey, that franchise, he's been there.
I mean, yeah, wasn't he on the Nets for a decade?
Yeah, something like that. It's just still crazy to see because he's never a superstar. But
he just changed his game. He was a post-up player, and then he switched to a spot-up shooter to space the floor. So I mean,
yeah, and he had 17, and he literally had 17 points. Giannis had a double-double. He had 22 points, but he wasn't even shooting the ball that well. They literally should have won the game, but I guess that collapse defensively was what really hurt the Knicks.
I'm looking at the score per quarter, and the Bucks pretty much took the game and took the lead and outlasted them by scoring 38 compared to the Knicks 29 points.
And the Bucks, when they're built on shooters,
And they are.
guys like Pat Connaughton, Grayson Allen, Joe Ingles, even Drew Holiday was shooting the deep ball pretty well. That would have been a perfect time to get Fournier out and finally play Cam Reddish. And it just like the body language, like I Reddish, I think is going to get traded soon because just like, and I don't blame him either because I would react the same way in his position, but just like the body language that you see, it's just like it's crazy. Like they had a close win against the Spurs, like he gets like happy now again, big shot, but like at the end of the Spurs game, just like whenever we were all happy because we won by 3, he just walked like straight faced. Raptors, same thing. He was like the first one to leave the arena at that Raptors game, and then the Bucks game, same thing. So it's just like he should be playing, especially when like the Bucks literally went on like a 10 or 12-0 run. That's when you call a timeout, get Fournier out there or out of the game, put Reddish in for defensive purposes because it's just a liability. And Reddish is like a great defensive player. And I mean, they literally gave up a first round pick for him. Like, at least play him enough where you can get some value out of him.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, and he didn't even play this game at all. Like he was, you're absolutely right when it comes to him compared to Evan Fournier. That pretty much states that he's going to get traded, right? Because he's way better and more productive than Fournier. So usually, if a coach benches a player when you know he's good, when you know he can play, he's going to probably get traded pretty soon.
Yeah, but speaking of the Knicks, though, one other thing now, besides now that I'm moving on from that Bucks game, I'm actually going to the game tomorrow against the Pacers.
Oh, nice. Are you gonna
Yeah, and
do some reporting and some recording and stuff?
oh no, I'm just like going there to like watch it. Like it's not through like BSP or anything.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But
Cool.
yeah, but the big thing with that is it's a rematch with the Pacers, who they're one game behind because they lost the 6 seed down to the 7 seed now. So it's a big game, but it's also a big game for Tyrese Halliburton because I don't know if you remember, but they played each other in Indiana December 18th. The Knicks got the win in a close game. I think it was like 106, 103. But after that game, Wally Serbiak, who's the announcer for the Knicks, pretty much, I don't know why he said this, but kind of a hot take, called Tyrese Halliburton a wannabe all-star. And then Halliburton kind of took those comments personally and even like clapped back at Wally. And now it's his first game at the Garden, so it's going to be interesting to see how Halliburton plays in what you can call a revenge game almost.
Oh, dude, he's talented. He's gonna go off.
Oh, yeah, Halliburton. I
Dude,
was literally saying, like, if it wasn't for Halliburton, Brunson would probably be an all-star game starter, maybe. But Halliburton's a beast.
he really is.
I still don't understand the King. Like, Sabonis is a good player, but I just don't understand why they traded him. Why they traded Halliburton, but
It's the Kings. They don't know what they're doing until maybe this year.
yeah.
They might have an idea what they're doing this year compared to like seasons prior. Well, at least 15 years ago.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be interesting to see, like, because Zerbiak poked the bear for sure. He definitely did. And he's going to get burned. Like, I could see Halliburton going off. So, like, we'll see what happens. But, yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I guess because Halliburton had an off night. I mean, I don't know what his field goal percentage was that day, but he only had 15 points, 10 assists. But like he's
That's
still a
still
great
pretty
player, so I
good.
don't get why.
Nah, he's great. Dude, he's averaging a double on nearly 50, 40, 90 shooting splits.
Yeah, I
Like
don't get
he's shooting
what went through
48% from the
Wally's head.
field, 40% from three, a double points and assists. Like he's solid. That's all-star numbers right there. That's like Chris Paul numbers.
No, I agree. I don't get what went through Wally's head when he said that, but he is a very biased announcer, which is weird because he's never even played for the Knicks, like in his NBA career.
Yeah, didn't he play for forgot what he played for, but I know he was a 2000s player, right? Player in the 2000s and the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I forgot what he played for though.
Um,
He didn't play for the Lakers, did he? The Lakers.
no, he was only in the NBA for 2 years in the late 2000s. It was the Cavaliers and the Thunder. Oh, never mind. He played 10 seasons. Played for the
Cavaliers.
Cavaliers and the Thunder.
Cavaliers. Okay, I was like wondering why is that like name so familiar to me? So he played with LeBron on the Cavaliers, and he had yeah. Because like I used to watch a lot of like LeBron Cavalier rants whenever his first stint with the Cavs were, and like it was basically him, Wally Zerbiak, and like Snow and what's his name uh, Anderson Varejao.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, just like all these like scrub players who were borderline, rotation players in different teams, and it was just all LeBron. But yeah, well,
Yeah, and then Halliburton literally responded, and he was like, when one reporter told him, and he was like, "Oh, I have no clue. I know the name Wally Serbiak, but I couldn't tell you where he played. I couldn't tell you what he did as a basketball player. I don't know."
oh man, yeah, yeah. Case in point. I mean, he's true. He's right about that. That's funny. That's funny. Well, at least your Knicks are doing better than my Rockets.
Yeah, I mean, no offense, but that doesn't necessarily make me happier. I kind of expected that, but
No, I expected the Rockets to be a little bit better than this season. A little bit better. But they're worse than last season. I had a whole rant last week. A whole rant about the Rockets. Like I'm just pretty much done. Like they're 10-32. They've lost 9 straight at home, 7 straight games. They're worse at home than on the road. I think, yeah, worse at home on the road. And Coach Steven Silas he's like, I wrote an article yesterday about it, and Silas he urged the team and urged the media like, hey, we're gonna really turn this team around by the end of this month. I highly doubt that. I mean, I just don't think his coaching style is good for this young team, and I don't think their leadership is in the right place. We've been
yeah, I
asking
agree.
for Eric Gordon to be traded constantly because he's not. Yes, he's a veteran, but I don't think he's at that point where he can really give these young guys a veteran leadership role position. I just don't think he has that sort of personality for that. I just don't. I still think he's hungry for a ring. I think he should ring chase still. I mean, he's only 34. I mean, he's got significant potential still to be like a 3-and-D player. He also can slash. I mean, the longer he's on the team, the less value he has.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. I think by the end of this month, if the Rockets don't win more than 2 games, then they should fire Silas, I think.
Yeah, they definitely ought to change something up. I mean, the only not that like you can never be happy about your team sucks, but the only positive is maybe you guys getting Victor Wembanyama. So
You're right. I mean, we do have the highest odds to get Victor Wembanyama, but like, so have teams in the past, and then like when they do the draft lottery, they get the 2nd or 3rd pick because I don't know, luck or bad luck or something.
yeah, well now they changed it too. So like the 2nd and 3rd worst teams have the same odds as the first team. The first team.
Yeah. So
because I think the first year they did it was Zion's draft class because I believe the Knicks were the worst team and they were supposed to get Zion and then
I remember
they
that.
drop all the way to 3, get RJ Barrett.
Yeah, it's turning out to be a pretty bad pick. Like for a 3rd pick.
Yeah, it's or just the fact that they gave him 120 million. I mean, they gave him more than Jalen Brunson by 18 million a year.
Yeah, and Brunson's just completely like matching expectations for that contract, or if not more.
Yeah.
If not more. I mean,
And like
Brunson.
I read an article too of like he's even surprisingly making like an impact on the defensive end. He leads the league in most offensive fouls drawn.
Brunson?
Mm-hmm.
That's solid. He's only like what, 6'1", 6'2"?
I thought he was 6 foot, but maybe like 6'1", yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
He's
that's short
definitely
for
an
basketball.
undersized guard,
Definitely undersized, but can score 44 points.
especially the way he does it too. Like he's driving, like going into the heart of their defense.
I think he can score like that really well because of the fact that Thibodeau's system is kind of geared towards him scoring, having that like frenzy scoring, uh, you know, hot streak or heat checks and stuff.
Yeah, and he
His
was doing it against Drew Holiday, who's a great defender.
yeah, yeah, definitely for sure. But yeah, with the Rockets, I mean, the only player that I think has actually made strides to this team is Jalen Green. He's definitely a prototypical second overall pick. Um, I mean, I think I read like a piece or a tweet where it was a player versus Jalen Green, and it was another player who had, I think he was a top 5 pick as well. I forgot the name, but like the first 2 seasons, he's scoring 21 points per game, uh, which is great. I mean, I think that's great strides for him to achieve. But other than that, I mean, Alperen Şengün, I think Salas is using him the wrong way. He's only doing like whenever a play is made for him, he's only doing screen rolls. That's it. There only are several times where he's actually posting up to the basket and doing fake up and under rolls, which are his bread and butter. Like he's so good at that, and he's also an underrated facilitator as well. Uh, but then they want KPJ to be the point guard, which I mean I love KPJ. Don't get me wrong, but he's not a point guard. He's a shooting guard. He's a scorer. He can't really facilitate the basketball as well as Silas wants him to. And then that takes away plays for Jabari Smith. And Jabari Smith is, he's of course he's supposed to be a top 3 pick. We got him at second overall or third overall, and he's not really showing that. Of course, maybe it's the first year. Don't get me wrong, but it's just we're not using him to his fullest potential. Uh, and also the bench is kind of lackluster. The only player that I think is really showing a lot of signs for the bench is Kenyon Martin Jr. and Jay Sean Tate, who's back from his injury. I think he's going to be really great for the bench. But Garrison Matthews, Usman Garuba, Deshaun Nix was putrid as a backup point guard. They had Ty Washington come back from the G League and take over with some minutes for a few games, but then they sent him right back, and mainly because he's not his confidence completely just like decreases significantly when he goes to the NBA compared to when he plays in the G League, because the G League stats are just top notch, but whenever he gets to the NBA, it's like he's just a
Dude,
fish out.
Ties?
Yeah, Ty. Yeah, so I see there's
Yeah,
potential there for sure. I can definitely see he just needs to gain more confidence and more experience as a player in the NBA. But for them to constantly keep him in the G League and then, in the NBA on the Rockets roster back and forth, I mean, yeah, you really can't do anything but shoot threes. So,
mm-hmm.
but yeah, that's my weekly rant of the Rockets. Weekly rant. We can end on that. Let's get into our new segment. It's going to be untapped potential. So, Brian, tell us about that.
All right, so untapped potential, kind of my idea, my baby, along with Mason Wood, who's one of our football writers. So basically, untapped potential for what we're going to be doing in basketball. So we're going to take a player whose career kind of ended early, like had a lot of potential, and their career ended early due to a multitude of reasons, whether it was trouble with the law, injuries, or just naturally just couldn't reach that potential. So for football, I cover the New York Jets, even though I'm a Giant fan. But some that I've done is Wayne Corbett and Al Toon, and then Mason's done Robert Griffin III, popular one. We did one on Telvin Smith, I believe, linebacker for the Jaguars. But for basketball, tons of ideas. I think the biggest one, or at least one off the top of my head, is Derrick Rose, and then Gilbert Arenas is another big one. Definitely got to do my research and go back for Knicks players, but it's an idea I want to bring to not only this podcast, but our website, Back Sports page, and want to get the other writers involved. I knew Jeremy talking about it briefly. He had a lot of ideas for players, so something excited to bring.
No, yeah, I think it's a really cool segment to talk about, especially towards the latter half of the podcast. And, we'll have that weekly done at the end and just kind of talk about players that had a lot of potential throughout college and then were projected to be maybe a top 5, top 10 player in the draft and started off strong and then fell off completely or didn't even play in the NBA and had like loads of potential, had like sort of the, the Jimmer Fredette moment or something like that, or the Fab Melo effect too. Of course, you can't really predict who passes away or not like that. Like, of course, Len Bias or Fab Melo, but it is still untapped potential. But we can definitely talk about one player that's on my mind right now, Tyreek Evans.
Yeah, he was good. Or he was supposed to be a great player for the Kings. And wasn't it 1 year he was suspended for violating the drug policy?
Yeah. It was when I think it was Tyreek Evans. Well, I think the reason why he wasn't able to surpass his Rookie of the Year season, I think it was because of DeMarcus Cousins. Because I think the next year they drafted DeMarcus Cousins, and Cousins was already like electric in the NBA. Had a great basketball IQ, but of course he had a temper, but was a great scorer, and that kind of took minutes away from Tyreek Evans. And they didn't really know how to coach them two together as on the court as a center and as a small forward. So then that kind of angered Evans, and then he sort of like kind of regressed a little bit, and then he kind of turned into his life kind of turned into the OJ Mayo treatment, where he kind of just violated the NBA's anti-drug policy. It was 2 years.
Yeah, it's a great comparison though by the OJ Mayo. But yeah, he spent in 2019 for pretty much 2 years, and then just got reinstated Valentine's Day of last year. So
yeah, but he's not playing for the NBA right now. So
no, he's not.
Yeah, he's not playing. The last time he played was on the Pacers. It's funny because his time with the Grizzlies in 2017 was sort of a mini resurgence. He had 19.4 points per game, shot 45% from the field and 40% from three in 30 minutes. Which, I mean, yeah, the Grizzlies weren't that great during that time. They were sort of like coming out of their grit and grind phase. But Evans had a pretty decent season that year, and then he went back to the Pacers and didn't really do well after that. He kind of just got a reduction in minutes and points. His field goal percentage decreased significantly, and of course he got caught with drugs and violated the anti-drug policy. And now he's no longer in the NBA.
Yeah, he's playing for a team in Puerto Rico right now.
Puerto Rico?
Mm-hmm.
So he's Indios de Mayaguez at Baloncesto Internacional. Yeah, so that's Tyreek Evans for you. I mean, he's only 33 years old, so he could come back to the NBA and make a comeback as a role player. But, I'm not sure if that's going to really change him as a person.
Yeah. I mean, one player that I was thinking too is Isaiah Austin. He was a 6'10" player from the University of Baylor. and he was like he pretty much had like every amazing college stat. He was a 2013 All Big 12 member, Big 12 All Freshman, Big 12 All Defense. His freshman year averaged 13 points, 1.7 blocks, 8.3 rebounds, 1.1 assists. His sophomore year averaged 3.1 blocks per game. Like he was supposed to be a top pick in the 2014 NBA draft, and then they found out he had Marfan syndrome, which is pretty much common for people with the sport. Like if you're tall, with like disproportionately long arms, legs, fingers, and toes, and it got to the point like where he couldn't even play, and like he had to retire, and then luckily they made him like an honorary draft pick in the NBA, but his dream was ruined, and he had a bright future as definitely a perennial shot blocker and player that probably still wouldn't have playing today if he didn't have that
Yeah.
disease.
He did play overseas though, which I mean, of course you don't have to put the same energy that you do overseas compared to the NBA. But he also he also was selected as the first overall pick, but in the Big Three draft in 2021. That's kind of funny.
Oh wow.
Yeah, yeah, Ice Cube's league or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, that's unfortunate. I mean, do you think he was pretty much all-star bound, or do you think he was sort of just a decent role player if he had the chance?
I think it all depends on where he would have went in the draft, and just like what team he's on, because it's all about like the role and stuff. But I think he definitely had the potential to be an all-star. Um, he definitely had the potential to be an all-star.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of guy that like he reminds me of like a modern day player is like Mitchell Robinson, but with more offensive upside.
Mitchell Rob. Okay, nice. Yeah, yeah, it's definitely pretty productive right there. Um, what other players have Marfan syndrome? Is that pretty common?
Um, I
I'm
could
sorry,
be
I'm
wrong, but
searching
I
too.
think Dikembe Mutombo had it
Really?
uh towards the end of like his life, but um I could be wrong because I know he had something, but I don't.
I mean, Dikembe played till he was like in his mid 40s. So I mean,
Yeah, I was just saying. I
he
think he
was still
got it.
a
Like, yeah, I don't know.
pretty decent player until his mid 40s, or maybe I think he had an injury on the Rockets, when he was like 41 years old, and it was like a huge defensive anchor for the team alongside Yao. And then of course he went down, and then Yao had to like take care of the load. And then Yao got injured along with McGrady, and yeah, that's actually pretty. That's actually a story I definitely want to talk about. Is like the 2000s Rockets, and the fact that like McGrady and Yao were probably kind of like they were very similar to Shaq and Kobe. They had that potential, but of course they were both injured in different parts of their career, in many different parts of their career, and the Lakers had Shaq and Kobe pretty much all throughout their three-peat. I mean, unless Shaq had like he was injured for being overweight or something or out of shape, but for the most part, like because Shaq and Kobe were on the floor, they won 3 championships. They had a three-peat. If Shaq or Kobe were injured during those times, then Lakers probably wouldn't have won a three-peat. And McGrady and Yao, they had potential, they had a chance, but they always sort of either choked in the first round or they got injured towards their later careers. So a really
Yeah,
interesting story to talk about for sure.
yeah. I couldn't find anyone else like big name, but there was another guy, another NBA prospect, more recent though in 2017. His name's Jonathan Jean. He's a
Jonathan Gene.
7'2", 210-pound center. Was supposed to be in the 2017 draft class, and it wasn't until they didn't discover he had it until the Bulls actually asked for his physical.
Oh man. So he knew he had Marfan syndrome, or did he not know before his physical?
I don't think he knew until it came back from that Bulls physical. But I mean,
Dang.
he's still playing basketball overseas, so it's good to know it's not like
Yeah.
affecting him. He's still playing in France, but um apparently another like great shot blocker, rim protector.
Mm.
Um his NBA comparison from his like draft profile, Samuel Dallenberg, which is like an average center.
Yeah, probably an average
Um
rotation center.
yeah, but just like sucks to see for those people because it's one thing if you had the opportunity, but it's another thing when you don't even get the opportunity to do something holding you back, like Marfan syndrome or
Yeah,
something
no,
like that.
definitely. Is it only affecting players who are lanky and have a large wingspan and are at least like 7 feet tall? Is that
Yeah, it's just because of like, I mean, obviously there's like other things too. Like, I don't think that's what Dikembe Mutombo had or like Bull. That's what I was thinking of, not Dikembe. Bull. I think, or sorry, his dad, Manute Bull.
new ball?
Um,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, there's like those type of diseases. There's actually I remember seeing it with someone that there was like a rival exec GM when Chet Holmgren was drafted that feared that that's something he could run down to later down the line.
I mean, he's currently injured, but it's not because of Marfan syndrome, but he's currently out
Yeah,
for the
just
whole
like
season.
just like they felt like he would deal with like a lot of injuries
Yeah.
just because of his size with how little his weight and strength is and actually that's a reason why Kevin Durant got like so into like the weight room and like put some muscle on because he was like fearing for his health. And I think that's why he had so many leg injuries early on in his career was because he was just so brittle and people were landing on him. And I
He
mean,
still is pretty brittle. Like he's bumping knees. Like you look at it like the way he plays. Still, he's still very bony. On his muscles and legs and stuff. So
yeah, I remember his what was the injury he was dealing with his first year with the Nets where he like missed a chunk of time.
MCL sprain.
Yeah, I remember he was actually doing like aqua therapy because I remember seeing that picture like floating around of him doing aqua therapy to help rehab his leg, his MCL. I know that was a popular thing, but like I don't know, it's weird. I feel like every time you're seeing like awkward things with like NBA like injuries or like health risks with NBA players nowadays. I mean, did you remember that or hear about that thing about Paolo Banchero when he was at Duke?
Um. Yeah. Well, did he have like an MCL sprain? Like, what injury did he have? I know he was
No,
injured.
it was not even like an injury. It was like a like something like health with like his organs or like he has like a rare disorder where
Yeah.
he'd lose like 5 pounds of water weight every game. And like he would need to like drink like a lot of water and like eat a lot just to like gain it back. Cause
So he would just lose 5 pounds every
like
game.
after a game, yeah. From sweat.
That's weird.
Yeah, I don't know how it's gone with the NBA, but
He's doing great. I mean,
he is doing great. Like
they
honestly,
probably
like
have him drinking like 6 gallons of water per day. So
yeah, like honestly, I know they're only the 13 seed, 11 games under 500, but the Magic I think have a bright future and they're honestly like an entertaining team to watch.
they're what the Rockets should be. Like that's the Rockets should pretty much look at the Magic and be like, that's who we should be right now. Of course, yeah, 10 games under 500 is something that no team or no fan wants their team to be. But in a rebuild, that's exactly where they should be.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know I've been seeing like them get hype lately to the Magic. So like they might still be losing, but I think they're losing like close games, which
Yeah.
is like
What's
which
up?
they've been doing for the most part, except for they just got destroyed by the Kings yesterday. But I mean, besides that, they beat the Warriors by 14. Um, I think they definitely have potential.
Oh, for sure, definitely. I mean, I'm sure Paolo Banchero is going to be the surefire rookie of the year this season. So
Yeah, and I like that guard duo they have in Jalen Suggs and Cole Anthony plus RJ Hampton.
yeah,
Like they definitely have they have a bunch of young guys, and then they have a great veteran or not necessarily a great veteran, but a good veteran, Terrence Ross. Like I think they just need like their star, and then just build around that, which hopefully
yeah.
Paolo can be for them.
I mean, I think after this season, Paolo Banchero is going to be probably a borderline All Star next season. I just see it. His potential is off the charts. Couldn't find the word there, but
Yeah, and I saw that for the Olympics or like the FIBA tournament, whatever they're doing, instead of playing for the Team USA, he's going to play for Team Italy, which is interesting.
he's from Italy.
I
He's
don't
from
think
Seattle.
he is. I think his mom
Seattle.
is though. Like he has Italian descent.
Oh, okay, gotcha,
Yeah,
gotcha.
he's American Italian.
Yeah, I was like, I think he's American. I'm pretty sure, but I guess you can do that since you have like your parents who are you're like the first generation in America.
Yeah, I know they're doing that. I know I've been seeing that for baseball. Like there's a lot of different people playing in the World Baseball Classic, like doing that. Like I
Yeah.
just saw a thing that like Rowdy Tellez is playing for Team Mexico instead of Team Israel.
Mm-hmm. Dude, Shohei Otani and Mike Trout, they're going to go against each other. It's going to be something to see
It's gonna
for sure.
be yeah. Honestly, I think Dominican Republic is better than the United States.
I mean, that's where pretty much the Astros get their players.
Yeah,
That's why their pitching is so good. But anyways, we're
yeah.
kind of veering off traffic from basketball and into baseball. But I think that's pretty much it. You got anything else to say, Brian, about what's going on with the NBA?
No, I mean All-Star voting's coming up for the fan vote.
That's right. That's right.
I don't know how you feel about it, but I kind of don't like the fan vote, to be honest with you.
I freaking hate the fan. We got Austin Reeves as number 9 on Western Conference guards. Get the fuck out of here.
Eastern Conference guards, Derrick Rose is number 9.
That's hilarious. I saw that when I was watching Inside the NBA last week, and I was like, and then even mentioned that I was hoping Barkley would mention why Derrick Rose on the All Star voting. Like it's hilarious. You got
Yeah, and I mean and like
Kevon Looney.
Kevon Looney, number 10.
Kawhi Leonard shouldn't
I mean,
even be
was
on
it?
that. I mean, I guess I can see why because Leonard's a fan favorite, but he hasn't played many games this season.
Yeah, I remember a few years ago, literally just because of the fan vote. Like, the thing is like you can always just sneak a meme player in there, and like I remember like I don't know if you even know this guy because like I feel like only Knicks fans loved him, but like Ron Baker almost got put in the All-Star game.
Ron Baker. When did he play?
Like 2016, 2017. He's only in the league for a couple years. He was like a star at
Oh, okay.
Wichita State.
Oh, okay. So like he was like sort of like the Knicks meme player.
Pretty yeah.
Yeah. I remember when Clay was injured with the Achilles tear, and he was like the number 1 player, like the number 2 player voted in for fans. I remember that. And I was like, come on, man. Like fans just like the troll. They really do.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at the Western Conference front court, and I see LeBron, I see Jokic, I see Davis, I see Williamson. Andrew Wiggins is also on the front court, which I'm kind of like, I mean, yeah, he was an all-star last season, but I don't think he's all-star potential this season. Lauri Markkanen is a spot for sure. I see that.
Oh, he's having a great year this year, Lauri
Oh
Markkanen.
yeah, dude, he's popping off on the Jazz. What are some snubs you think should be on the fan voting?
I think definitely Jalen Brunson.
Yeah, for sure, Jalen Brunson. I don't know why he's not on the team on the All-Star voting.
Yeah, and then
he's so good.
I can I don't know. Like I also think Julius Randle, just because they literally I saw a tweet of like comparing all the stats, and he's pretty much doing better than Pascal Siakam and like Kyle Kuzma, and like he's definitely better than Nick Claxton.
Oh, he's definitely doing a great job for sure offensively. He's got a double
Yeah,
double.
and I just think like the whole like of like transition of what they're doing for the Knicks, like, but then like excluding Nick players, I know he's having and
You
not
got
even so much
Derrick
snubs of like
Rose.
other yeah like Derrick Rose shouldn't be on there. Trey Young, as popular as he is, I don't think he should be on there. I mean, he's
I
literally
think he's
from
having a down
three
year.
shooting what?
He's having a down year.
Yeah, he's literally shooting the worst from three in his career. Like it's literally just his like popularity.
Yeah. He's just a volume shooter. Like he still has around the same amount of points as he did last season, but he's just not shooting well from the three or from the field. He's a volume shooter. I mean, he's just a
Yeah,
discount
I
stuff.
mean Jordan Poole is even on the list. Like this is
Again, yeah, it's just fans not really sure who to vote for, and except people that they know from the team that they just kind of hear from TV and whatnot. And then, of course, Jordan Poole made an appearance in the not All Star. He made an appearance in the playoff games last season, and got Austin Reeves, who's like the what do you call it? The I can't. What's the player on the Bulls that used to be on the Lakers?
Lonzo
Not Lonzo, the guy with the headband.
Caruso.
Caruso, yeah, Alex Caruso. Like they're like saying, "Oh, he's Alex Caruso 2.0. He's our fan favorite next to LeBron."
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So got that. It's funny because you only have. I'm looking at the All Star ballot for fans, and Derrick Rose is the only Nick on the All Star voting.
It is
Man,
ridiculous.
it's hilarious. Oh man. Yeah, definitely some Knicks players need to be on this list for sure. I don't even see like Bradley Beal on here either.
Yeah, I don't.
Even though Bradley Beal's like not on a good team, you know, he's a fan favorite for the Wizards. He should be. He's been injured a little bit during the season, just slightly, but yeah, hopefully that changes. Hopefully I think they should do like 20. Is it 50-50 or is it 25-75 for the fans and the league?
I think it's 50-50.
That's dumb, dude. That's why we got to get out people like Derrick Rose, Jordan Poole, Austin Reeves. No like disrespect to the players, but they just aren't all star potential.
Yeah, I mean, like just looking at the guards, like I would take out Rose and Trey Young, and I would probably put in um Brunson and honestly DeJounte Murray.
Dejounte Murray, okay, yeah, no, he's having a good year, isn't he? Pretty sure.
Or actually, Trey
Yeah,
is averaging more points and more assists. So I don't know. Maybe I keep Trey, but I'm just saying, like, I don't know.
but Trey is his field goal percentage is just putrid from field goal percentage in the 3 point range. Dejounte Murray is having pretty much the same year as he did last season. Decent shooting splits from the field and from three. Of course, he's not really sharing the ball much. His assist total went down because of Trey Young, but he can always rely on his defense too.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, I think that's it from this episode. I think we should name this episode Jalen Brunson, the Jalen Brunson love or whatever, like Jalen Brunson appreciation.
Appreciation.
Episode. Yeah. The Jalen Brunson appreciation episode. Because like I'm not even a Knicks fan.
He deserves
and I
it.
think yeah, he definitely deserves it. Like he should definitely get more recognition for sure. But anyways, that's pretty much it for this episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll have episode 5 up next week, and I'll have this one this week. Thank you guys for tuning in. Again, my name is Jeremy. This is Brian. This is Cut the Nets. Signing out.